In this video, we'll discuss how to collect and analyze data. There are a variety of different methods that you can use to collect data, including observing the phenomenon as it occurs without any manipulation. You can design controlled experiments and make the observations in that controlled environment. Observations and data collection can come from surveys and interviews, and then it can be assisted through technology. The two main types of data collection are quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative is quantity, it's numbers. So anytime you're using numbers, that's quantitative data. And then qualitative data is just describing what you see. And that could be, color, texture, behavior. Sometimes you can take qualitative data and describe it in terms of a number. So you maybe texture, for example, you could say, how rough is this texture from on a scale from 1 to 10. So you can quantify qualitative data. When you're doing an experiment, start with a question, the variables that you'll use, independent, dependent, control, constants. You're trying to create the experiment so that the procedures are easily reproducible. You want to make it clear and easy for others to follow, and then make sure that how you collect the data is described, because you want people to be able to follow that. Now, when you're collecting data, you need the data to be organized and neat. If you're using tables, make sure that you have all of your information labeled. You have units, and a lot of times we put the units in parentheses. And then uncertainty and margins of error, plus or minus 2%, plus or minus 0.5 milliliters. For analysis, we want to choose the correct type of analysis. And so you have three different options for this class. There are so many other ways to analyze data, but we're sticking with three types. That's descriptive. That's where you're basically just summarizing the data. Comparative it's what it sounds like. You're comparing two or more groups. And then you have trend, what changes over time or what changes over a specific quantity. So you can use calculations, you can use graphs, but either way you're looking for some type of a pattern, or increase, decrease, outliers, things like that. Outliers would be a part of the data that doesn't match, it doesn't fit with everything else that's going on. You have line graphs, bar graphs, pie charts, scatter plots, and this shows different types of analysis. So line graph shows trends. You can compare with bar graphs, proportions with a pie chart, and then showing relationships with the scatter plot. With descriptive analysis, for graphs, you could use a pie chart, you could use bar graphs. Tendencies can be shown through averages like mean, median, and mode. You have spread, standard deviation, and then percentages. This is just like it sounds, you're describing the data. With comparative analysis, you can still use some of the same types of graphs, like you can use bar graphs, but you would use it to compare one category versus another. And then with your calculations, it would be differences and ratios. Percent yield is a good example of that, where you're getting the percent yield, how much of the product that you produce based off of what you should have gotten versus what you actually did. Trend analysis just shows a category as it changes over time. And that would be typically line graphs would be the most obvious one. Calculations would be rate of change, and then any type of change, percent of change. And that's it. That's everything that you need to know for this class in terms of data and analysis.